existed around 7,500 according to the timeline of the catastrophes, because he was seen before Noah, or the great flood during Noah's time around 4000 BC. And they don't know or acknowledge that Marduk and Enki supplanted Ninurta, who was Jupiter, and Enlil, who was Saturn. And they were 2,000 years before Marduk and Enki took over their planets. They don't know that the Chaldeans did this after 2000 BC, which is very important. You can't take characters out of context and put them in different places in chronologies in history. You just cannot do that. I mean, you can do it, but it's not correct. And if that's your premises, you're basing on your model, then your results and the model cannot be correct. Okay, so Eve Cochrane in Gaia's Electric Universe, Season 1, Episode 3, at minute 20:56, says that the scholars have uncertainty about Saturn having been the original sun, or even being called the sun, due to the fact that most world mythologies didn't refer to Saturn as the original sun. Eve Cochrane gives the example of the Maya and Aztec mythologies, but he fails to mention that Saturn as a sun might have been one of the 5 suns that the Maya and the Aztecs do have a legend and talk about. These two cultures, Maya and the Aztec, have a legend that says that there was four different suns before our present sun, and then we are living in the era of the 5th sun. And I wanted to add, speaking of Saturn and being a sun, that Velikovsky mentions that Saturn might have been called a sun, or that shone like a sun, because of it going nova. During 7 days, there was the light of the 7 days. So he even said that. He didn't say that Earth was a satellite of Saturn forever, and that's the way it came into the solar system. He mentions Uranus as being the first god, and Earth probably most logically because of the stories of mythology. And Uranus is the big elephant in the room next to Neptune. He said that Earth, after being captured by Saturn, which is what the mythology says, might have been a very short time temporarily under the influence of Saturn. Then Mercury shows up in the mythologies and also in the catastrophes and being worshipped by the Buddha. The Buddha was the one who was Mercury, who got enlightened when he became like a serpent and had these plasma formations being seen, like the 7 heads of the Naga. And I talk about this too. After interacting with Mercury, which is also remembered as the Tower of Babel event over the world, and also in Mexico, the building of the giant pyramid of Cholula, and it's said that it was built by the angels or demons or giants that were the Sumerians. Then Earth interacted with Jupiter. It was probably moving through the solar system and encountered Mercury, because Mercury in the mythologies was the messenger and probably a satellite, a moon, or a planet of Jupiter. So they encounter each other, get zapped by Mercury, then keeps flying past Jupiter. Jupiter interacts with Earth. That's the thunderbolts of the gods. Well, there were many thunderbolts being thrown at Earth, also by Neptune. Let's not forget that. And by other planets, because electrical interactions are thunderbolts. But because Jupiter was pretty huge, I imagine that those thunderbolts or electrical interactions or solar flares from Jupiter must have been pretty huge. And then Earth interacted